Welcome
Namaste.
and namaste. It's good to see all of you.
All right, Polly.
Very good.
It's also really nice to see some of you who were just here in Washoe Valley, but back at home. So,
Back in the virtual reality.
yes. Oh, everybody's like, oh. Thanks, guys.
So we just completed the 9-day. I'm still in the energy thrust of that program. And the thing that I was left with was this quality that was happening for people where they were piercing the veil. It was, we talked about the stages of meditation, and the first stage being thought and the second stage being calm. But when silence comes, something of our true authority comes to us. And that in that capacity to be connected in our body with the silence that's there, I recognize, well, this is the edge of the sword that pierces the veil, that allows us to see through the veil that keeps us enthralled in our habitual everyday life. So really, I see that conversation today I'm looking for is, what's beyond awakening is really this process of continuing to awaken. The glimpse and the recognition of awakening isn't the same as when we come to silence. When the silence comes, we now are inhabiting, or it's inhabiting us, the awakening. So it is this embodying of that quality of our consciousness that is in relationship with the truth of what we are prior to being able to penetrate all the veils. But it becomes a dynamic expression of that otherwise passive quality of our faith or our psychic being. The part of us that somehow knows about God and knows about somewhere there's a purpose, somewhere there's meaning, somewhere this has a role to play in my life. Because that's the other thing that came forward in the 9-day was context. That if we can find a way of holding what arises in our life, then we empower ourselves to actually be with it in a different context than being lost in it. So I think those two principles, knowing the inner silence and your own capacity to develop a context for holding, that means an intellectual understanding that allows you to step back from the enthrallment with the veil enough to see the veil. And then it's the silence that we find within us that carries with it the inherent presence of the Supreme Being. And in the process, our silence grows more capable. It builds a kind of a quantum of capacity of consciousness that then starts converting what it penetrates into a more deeper foundational relationship with our vital nature, with our physical nature. So this is the territory. When we go beyond the casual, wonderful, or awful qualities around awakenings and spirituality as we know it on the superficial plane, which is mostly trying to grasp that awakening experience again, trying to grasp those glimpses that you get in your moments, but rather into finding your own capacity to be directing your attention, your life, setting a purposeful organization of your living, where the silence then becomes a stronger component than your mood, than the thought enthrallment, than the judgments and the projections, than the stories and the preferences and the repulsions. It becomes a piercing quality, a determining, an organization of your identity purposefully. So I'm not the only guy to talk about this. But I do know that we also bring in this transformative incarnation force. And the fact is, if we can begin to organize ourselves, that when this force comes in, we can bring it and experience it. I mean, I listened to the people who were in the small groups. We did a conversation about shame. And I listened to a person who's been with me for 5 years, even though not here in Washoe, but been connected to me. And finally, he got his shame. It really sunk in. That means he was able to be the holder of his shame instead of being the shame. It's like discovering a new place to stand. So this force enhances our own capacity to penetrate and pierce the veils because it supports through our quality of alignment of our consciousness and our lives in context and in our ability to be accessing the inner silence, the inner stillness. We then become empowered. We have behind us an energetic event that will start mobilizing now that the vessel is ready. That in you, all the veils in you that you had been, you now can start seeing, meeting, experiencing. And in the energetic field of that intervention, incarnation force, it burns. It loses its hold. Every glimpse that you catch your shame, you catch your judgment, you catch your projection, you catch your idea of yourself that you kept small, that kept you hidden, and kept you unwilling to come into life. It dissolves without you doing anything but meeting it, holding it, tolerating the process of doing so. Sri Aurobindo is my companion because it's literally, he speaks my language. I mean, obviously it's the same attainment, but he is speaking it from 100 years ago. But I'm hearing it now. So he's got to be really happy. All the hopelessness of never anybody understanding what he was saying. It took 100 years, but someone now is hearing him. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but the principle being that this is a recognition of a quality that I've been doing and I've been living and I've been speaking, this is my sanctioning of my own truth to read Sri Aurobindo. This entire book, I think this came from Russell, the supramental manifestation upon earth. And, I've never read him more positive than his projection of what the supramental life would be like. It was like, wow, what's wrong with the guy? Get off of his dark nectar addiction or what? So I've really been strengthened to know that he has the same sense of the glory that's coming that I have always carried, that actually has allowed me to travel my journey. So he describes the states that come when the supramental comes in and the nature of the body starts transforming. For divine life on earth need not be a thing apart and exclusive, having nothing to do with the common earthly existence. It will take up human being and human life, transform what can be transformed, spiritualize whatever can be spiritualized, cast its influence on the rest, and effectuate either a radical or an uplifting change, bring about a deeper communion between the universal and the individual. I mean, it's like he's been listening to my recent talk, so I'm hearing her through the ether some months ago, and so it's becoming my languaging. Even the body, if it can bear the touch of the supramental, will become more aware of its own truth. For there is a body consciousness that has its own instinctive truth and power of right condition and action, even a kind of unexpressed and occult knowledge in the constitution of its cells and tissues, which may one day become conscious and contribute to the transformation of the physical being. Duh. This is the embodiment. And this is that whole principle of us embodying it, realizing it, aligning ourselves with it, developing the intelligence, this will, the ability to contextualize, and the ability to keep connected, to keep embodying that silence and that stillness within you. Then we become vessels and channels for the world's transformation. Or we become the means for this supermental to come into existence. And that is the same I speak in the Sat Shree, or the Sat force, the ability of it to actually be felt. So much so that sometimes it's a bodily event. And that it certainly is a psychological event when you're in the context and when the energy is present and when you're aligned. So you could say the spiritual path is really awakening to your collaboration with the purpose of your existence. What's beyond awakening is the responsibility, the recognition, the ability to respond what is inherent in what you are, in how you are at the fundamental organization of yourself as consciousness, as intelligence, has the ability to choose and take actions and to commit and to stay in a process that everything in you would not choose to stay with except for this purposeful uncovering that your awakening brought you. So it's not so much a map like for a destination. It's a structure for traveling in life. It's an organization. It's a development of the vessel, of the ship itself, that it gives it the keel, the grounding, and the silence, embodied silence. It gives the rudder in the capacity to meet situations as they arise in your life. And it gives not a map of destination, but how to be in the right relationship as you navigate the territory of existence. The final destination ends up with our own capacity to be capable of living life aligned with the true purpose of our birth. Destination is not required beyond that. We are the ultimate destination. It happens in us, as us, with us. We are the means for that to be able to create, to open up a space in the existing condition that we were born into and that we got overtaken by, and that runs our life, and even now runs our life in areas that we still haven't been able to conquer or wake up to or contextualize or be with. It's a growing capacity to be in existence, in responsibility to that possibility within you. So in this way, it's serious business. But it doesn't mean the frivolity, the enjoyment of life is to be rejected. It actually is to be included. Because there's nothing like some days or weeks of enjoyment to really set you up for the next set of lessons. There's nothing like the next set of lessons that doesn't open up the space for the next dimensions of enjoyment, in whatever form it may take. This is life. It's an ocean. There are always waves. In your deep ocean, the waves are longer and deeper and slower. Near the shore, they're faster. And when you're in the deepest ocean, nothing is moving. It's endlessly still. But when it travels into the shore, that deep unmoving starts also be taken on the waves, and it enjoys it. How interesting. Look at that. Look what I saw. So it's something like that when we come down from our more developed and higher states, when we become more stable, right? I certainly know this journey. The nature of being able to ride the current of day-to-day life has been really how to body surf spiritually. When I was in the deep ocean, there wasn't much to do. I was just in samadhi, and whatever came and went, and there was nobody getting perturbed by anything. But when I've come to the shore, then it says, oh boy, I better turn this way or that way, or wow, look at that, my face is in the sand. How did that happen? Kiss the earth, right? You meet the content. Not pleasant, but it teaches you. You become skillful. You begin to understand the territory and how difficult it is for us human beings to come out of this profound enthrallment of that portion of the ocean that's nearest to the shore of our material, egoistic lives. So the nature of this is ocean cannot be defined without land. Spirit has no qualities until it encounters land. It's attributeless. If this whole planet was ocean, there'd be nothing but ocean. Land would be a phenomena that you have to dive down deep, deep, deep to find. We have both. The two play with each other endlessly, usually through rain, coming down through the rivers, back to the ocean. It's like the oceans are just here to eat up the earth. It may happen once all the icebergs melt. Who knows? We'll be living on boats, barges, cities that float. Spirit is meant to infuse matter, but not to destroy the inherent delight and uniqueness of matter. It's to enhance it. But it itself may not know it's enhanced it, but we can. We can know it. We can see it. We can breathe it. We can taste it. We can hear it. We can feel it. An awakening must come in the earth nature and in the earth consciousness, which will be, if not the actual beginning, at least the effective preparation and the first steps of an evolution towards a new and divine world order. This would be the fulfillment of a divine life. I read my life. I read this as like, that's what I'm doing. It's like his context enriches my context, deepens it, gives it another vantage point. This would be the fulfillment of the divine life, which the descent of the supermind and the working of truth consciousness, taking hold of the whole nature of the living being, would bring about in all who could open themselves to its power or influence this change. Even its first immediate effect would be on all who are capable of the possibility of entering into truth consciousness and change all the movements of the nature more and more into the movements of the supramental truth, truth of thought, truth of will, truth in the feeling, truth in the acts, truth in the conditions of the whole being, even to the body, eventually transformation, a divinizing change. No, that's as optimistic as Sri Aurobindo gets. And it's really what it's about. I mean, I just see glories. I just see magnificence. I don't know if it's going to be in this plane, though. But that's all I know. I know that ultimately it is for a glorious reunion within ourselves of spirit and matter, matter and spirit. It's really where all that idea of suffering is gone. Though there may be suffering, because that's the price of the exquisiteness of being in existence. And that becomes part of the exquisiteness. So we have our time in the sufferings, but it's remarkable. The amount of time we spend in suffering versus the amount of time we spend in enjoyment is about 1 to 100. Except we get used to the enjoyment in non-suffering, or we get numb to it, and we lose the miracle of the opportunity. So we get pain, get suffering to bring back the appreciation, clean the palate, so we can come into existence once again with its possibility, with the miracle that it carries, and the lessons it's continuously bringing us to pierce the veils of our own perception that prevents us to being in the right relationship with what's arising. For those who could so open themselves and remain open, there would be no limitation to this development, and even no fundamental difficulty, for all difficulties would be dissolved in the pressure of the supramental light and power from above, pouring in itself into mind and the life force and the body. There's much more, but I'm having too good of a time, so I'll put it away. It doesn't end. As long as I'm in a body, as long as I was in this dimension, I get to be engaged in the supramentalization of my existence and perhaps your existence, not only in my own individual work, but as a vessel and a channel and a voice for this supramental consciousness, this supreme being, this quality that actually is already living us. And there's a power in silence. There's a quality of presence that evokes itself in us. It's deeper than the silence. It's foundational. It affects the body. It for a while quiets or suppresses the vital. The mind empties, or if there's thoughts, they just pass. There's just presence. In those moments, we are in the thrall of the Supreme Being. In those moments, we're in touch with that quality within ourselves. To whatever extent we have been able to, up to now, bring it into our system, recognize its qualities, hold it when it comes. So I'm talking to you in a different language. I'm talking to the part of you that speaks that language, that knows that language. Yes, there's words, but the real conversation is between each of us, each of you. Because I look at you and I know you. I look at you and I can feel you. In this 9-day, I don't know how many of my new Gita books I've signed, but every book, when I dedicated it, something came for every person who was in the 9-day. And I've noticed that when I sign it for someone who's not in the 9-day, it's not quite the same. As if somehow we built a connection by being together in the program. So that something came from me particularly for you. Although I could say that even this is particularly for you. Because I'm dedicating my consciousness at this moment to be with you. As you are too. Krishna had no revelation if there wasn't an Arjuna to receive it, or an Arjunai. It would have not been a revelation because there would have been nobody that needed revelation there. What creates that capacity to receive this is just enough time in misery. Enough time in your own self-created diminishment and suppression. Your own gagging on your own judgment, negativity, doubt, fear. It's in the suffocation of the error of our attention. Error of what we made important, thinking that was going to be it, and we end up once again back into the same thing that we were trying to get out of. I can hear my own breath. My own breath is being magnified. Listen to that. I don't know if you can hear it remotely, but we can hear it in this room. Something is breathing. Pay attention. It says something is there because it breathes. Something's living. Something's tangible in this dimension. My breath mingles with your breath. Our breath mingles. We're breathing the same breathing. The whole planet is breathing. There's the winds. Evidence. We can hear her breath with the winds. This is an extract from Sri Aurobindo's letters on yoga. I've collected topics which his interactions with his students were thematically in themes. And this theme is piercing the veil, experiences of the inner and the cosmic consciousness. The piercing of the veil between the outer consciousness and the inner being is one of the crucial moments in yoga. For yoga means union with the divine, but it also means awakening first to your inner self, and then to your higher self, to your individual self, and then to your universal self. A movement inward, and a movement upward, and a movement downward. It is, in fact, only through the awakening and coming to the front of the inner being that you can get into union with the divine. The outer physical human being is only an instrumental personality, and by itself cannot arrive at this union. One can only get occasional touches, religious feelings, imperfect intimidations, and even there come not from the outer consciousness, but from what is within us. There are two mutually complementary movements. In one, the inner being comes to the front and impresses its own normal relations on the outer consciousness, to which they are unusual and abnormal. The other is to draw back from the outer consciousness, to go inside, into the inner planes, enter the world of your inner self, and wake in the hidden parts of your being. When that plunge has once been taken, then you're marked for the yogic, the spiritual life, and nothing can efface the seal that has been put upon you. You've been found. There's a tangible experience that happens when you experience being found. It's in the category psychologically of being seen, being heard, being understood, but in spirit. My awakening was very intimate, very personal, and it was a divine being. It was clear that the universe had been loving me all along, and I was the one not paying attention. And when it somehow took a 2x4 and cracked the veil of my rajasic, egoistic life, that I got it. She loves me. I'm loved. I'm bound. There was something like my whole life got sanctioned in that moment. My existence got sanctioned. All the questing of my ego to be worthy dissolved in that sanctioning moment. It was awe. It was wonder. It was profound humility and also grief for a life so selfish, so separate, so self-involved that I couldn't have accepted her grace before. So this is one of the ways, the marking points as we transition from individual to universal, is we are touched by something greater than ourselves. Or we are seen by something greater than ourselves. Or we meet something that is greater than ourselves. In any of these ways, the mind, the vital, the physical, we open up to the blessing, to the sanction, to what Mahananda is, which is another word for grace. What that does is it strengthens our ability to travel the distance. It gives us a direct experience, a confirmation that we have something to do with holding on to that when it comes. In my case, for whatever reason, it didn't wait for me to remember her. She kept barging into the door. Here I come, ready or not. But for most, it's a matter of aligning ourselves to that recognition and our capacity to choose to do so, to make it important, to make that the most important, determines if we've actually crossed the threshold or we're extending the crossing of the threshold. Our capacity to align ourselves shortens, you could say, the distance, but you could really say the capacity to embody it. The distance is to embody it into your mind, into your intellect, into your heart, into your gut, into your body, that you're all okay, you're all part, all to be included, all to be embraced, all to be redeemed, sanctioned, allowed to come into existence with whatever is the lesson that is still there that needs to be met, to be embraced, and in that embrace, dissolved and included in the expansion of that sanction. Each moment we come to responsibility, to a structure that we assign the power outside of ourselves, we recover the sanction. It comes like a grace. It's a doorway that opens, that was there all along. The door was called our resistance, our fear, our repulsion, our judgment, our lifelong strategy of manipulating everybody else in our mind or our intelligence in order for us to feel safe, to create this artificial, false sanction that we choose to believe, even if it's falling apart all the time, has to be rebuilt every morning, to a true sanction, which takes no effort. When the true sanction comes, or the sense of it, and we've been capable of aligning our lives to receive it, we cross a point of no return. That means our entire system is organized towards that which is yet to come, and the inclination to return to that which we've already known becomes more and more difficult or unsatisfying or empty or self-diminishing. But there has to be some of that as we move forward. We have to eat the quantum of our content that we've created, own it, learn how to live with it, learn how to find the right relationship with its influence on our life, because some of these things are too primal. They come with the body. You're just going to be there, and you're just going to have to find the right relationship, and then it becomes moderated. It's not about fixing it. It's not about making it going away. It becomes moderated. You become skillful, capable of being with pain or discomfort, or doing things that previously were repulsive or you assigned as difficult or unwanted. You become more capable of eating your resistance, more capable of recognizing, oh, there's resistance, let's have a snack. Oh, there's a reaction, let's welcome it. We learn to become skillful to eat the darkness. And then it isn't darkness anymore. It's part of the transformational strength that comes when we have found our way. And that's how we come to the point of no return. That's when the old can no longer pull us back into the planet as we strive for a relationship with existence beyond the past. Which that pull to our old way is like the gravity of our tamasic nature. Gravity and tamas are the same. They pull us compellingly back, back, back. We have to keep striving, shoot our rocket up, and then it falls to earth, shoot it up, falls to earth. But we grow in our capacity, and one time we're up there. We're low Earth orbit. It's there, but it's taking a lot longer to pull us back, burn up in the atmosphere, crash. But sometimes we get to a point, there's a boundary. I think there's now a telescope at the boundary. Looks out into the infinity, and it can see the beginning of a creation. So we get to the boundary where Earth can no longer pull you. You're more likely to go to the moon or the sun. In that boundary, you find a new gravity. You know, it's like a rubber band. You stretch and stretch and stretch it to a certain point, and then it either breaks or takes you right back. Well, when you break the rubber band that held you to your old self, then you're free. because something other, it's now latched to something other, something vaster, something truer. And so if you choose to descend, there's no pull, there's no snap back. There's a choosing. What will snap you back is to your stabilized place of no return. So you dive into life and then pop back out. You don't even have to will it after a while. You just say, okay, enough of this. Poof, you're back. This is the learning of what it is that we are. It's really a matter of where we put attention. The key that brings us to that is the vessel we're traveling in our embodiment, and all its components, our emotional nature, our psychological nature, our physical nature, vital nature. We become free. Because it's pretty boring out there in the affinities. The embodied human being, pretty good. Okay, that's nice, and let's test it. Let's expand it. Let's do something with it. That's what motivates me. But not really. What motivates me is now I'm one of those sanctioning elements. I'm an expression of the mother that embraced me. I'm an expression of the truth that when I saw it, I trembled in fear and awe and wonder. I'm an expression of that now. To whatever extent. I'm not as scary as Krishna was for Arjuna, but I am a version. If all the veils were dropped, you'd be running from me as fast as you could. I heard my breath there. Yeah, this is an embrace that dissolves you. And there's love, but there's also truth. It's calling you up. It's calling you up to be here. That's what awakening is. It's calling you up to stay awake, to not go back to sleep. Beyond awakening is to stay awake. Now, the quality of waking is different than what we call awakening. It's the quality of being awake and sleep. It's the quality of being awake and dream. It's the quality of being the causal awakened quality. I guess I can move this a little bit away from my mouth. Satsang. Sitting in the Sat, not with the Sat. Yeah, maybe with us, the Sat is part of it, but it's when you're in it that you get the most. It's like sitting in the shit. You're used to that. Sitting with the Sat is the cure. Then you discovered the shit was the Sat. You just didn't know how to be in the right relationship with it. I'm humoring myself here. We've got almost 20 minutes, 15 minutes left. So I'm just going on and on. So excuse me for my digressions. But I'm really not getting off the pot. I haven't moved anywhere. It's been good. It's good to spend time with you like this. I'm very much enjoying seeing you all, being with you all. Hi, Dick. Hi, Tara. Hi, Anne. Hi, Sigrid. Hey, Philip. Hey, Judy Pretty. Yeah, and there's Mira, Manja, Anna. Look at you all, Joan. Susanna. Hey, Susanna. Mari, oh, welcome. You've got a pretty extraordinary mom. John, you look like you're in a wonderful place. Maybe it's a lie, but you look good. Yeah, look, I got 2 Johns in that one. Hi, John Sousa. Yeah, Selena. Sachagita. Oh, you're so dear to me. And Gabriel. Oh, my poor Gabriel. So much in the world. He so wants to be out of the shit and be in the grace. I know. You just have to endure calmly. Brian. Oh, there's my character with all his books. You're going to be buried by those books, Brian. You should burn them all. And Courtney, Courtney, you just are always here. You just get it whenever you can, as long as the price is right. Prem. Where did Claudine go? She was there for just a bit. There she is. Hello, Claudine. Good to see you. And Jaya, there's Jaya, my pillar. I love Jaya. And look at who she has for company. Narashima. Half beast, half divine. How's the half beast going? A little burning in that, huh? All that little, and he still there? Still getting the pain? Yeah, you should try laying down when you're meditating. Yeah, no sense. The body is going to not let you be upright if you want to recover.
You got to say hi to everyone.
Yeah, I'm going to say hi. Robert! There is my man who's actually a yogi. He's dedicated his life wittingly or unwittingly for the one truth he's now finding. It's so good to have him join us. And then there's Wendy, my newest and most dear, precious devotee. It's just a delight to say hi.
Dick into her.
And have I missed anybody?
You missed a lot of people this morning. So Dick and Tara.
I said
Did you
Dick
get
and
everybody?
Tara. I said hi.
Anne?
Yeah.
Sigrid?
Anne's my secret treasure. She doesn't yet fully know what she is, but I do. She's gonna find out. She's finding out.
JT Pretty. And Nancy.
Yeah.
Do you see Nancy?
No, I don't.
Below Philip.
Okay, I saw Philip. Where was Philip? Oh, Nancy, there you are. Nancy. The mother Susanna. Is that correct?
No, it's not.
No,
Suzanne's
not.
mother.
You're the other one. For some reason, the two of you look similar to me.
Yes, but not the same name.
Yeah, Nancy, good to see you. It's been a while. And Sigrid, did I say hi to you? I just signed a book for you. You're gonna get one of those books.
JT Pretty. Sat Shree.
JT Pretty, I already said hi to JT Pretty. She's my
Okay.
dance. I feel her dancing in me. She's always dancing whenever
And
I
you
see
got
her.
Mira?
Who?
Mira?
Yes. Mira, see, Shimi should learn from Mira. She's got all the techniques of how to meditate and rest at the same time. Should call her up. Oh, you knew her too, right? Whatever that
Joan?
lesson was.
Yeah, Joe.
Yes, I know Joan. I said I did Joan.
So you got everybody.
I got everybody. I'm confirmed. Sometimes twice.
Well, you know, twice, 3 times.
And those of you in the room, you've already got me, so, you don't need any special attention. All right, so, it is a celebration of what we can bring when we have this virtual world. It can be actually a felt sense of connecting. Something very intimate, very loving, and yet also a little scary Makes it interesting, right? Okay, so I think what we'll do is let's just spend the last 10 minutes in silence with each other. After all, we started talking of silence. Now let's find our silence within our bodies. And let's call this talk Beyond Awakening. Ten minutes. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om
Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat Shree. All glory to Supreme. May truth, love, and grace manifest in and through all of you. Namaste.
Namaste.